Hello again guys, this is another quick tutorial on how to produce these cool looking 3D texts in Photoshop CS5 Extended, and you will need the extended version for this because otherwise you probably don't have this 3D tab over here on top along with all these options. Okay, in case that you don't, just click the annotation on the screen right now and I will basically show you how to do it without it. It's not going to look as cool, but you can still make it happen. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. I will choose the text tool. One thing you want to do when basically doing a 3D text, choose some kind of bold font. Okay, I chose the Rockwell Extra Bold. It will basically look all better once we apply the shadows and the shades on everything. I'm gonna go ahead right now and set up basically my text. You will see on the right side right over here on the layers that I create basically a new layer for each either word or phrase that I want to play around with afterwards. Don't put all the text in one layer because let me just show you over here real quick. This is like one text in one layer, and once you basically convert it into a 3D, not only you can play with the words, meaning putting the text behind anything else or anything like that, actually the extrusions will also come as gray. Okay, and you don't want that. And then to change it you have to go I'm not sure if you even can go word by word because it's actually one layer. No, you won't be able to do that because it's one layer and all the extrusions will have to be the same color. Alright, so let's go back over here. I'm gonna fast forward everything, but you can still see what I'm doing. I'm basically gonna set up my phrases or words, and I'm gonna set up everything more or less in the way that I want the final result to be, and let's see how everything is done. Okay, that looks just about right. I just set up all the layers the way I want the end result to look like. You don't have to be extremely accurate, it's just gonna help you, get things going. So what we're gonna do next, we're basically gonna extrude each and every layer over here. We're gonna convert them into 3D basically, and the way we're gonna do it is either by going to the 3D options over here, okay, and checking the selected layer, and then 3D Repoussé object, and then create. Of course, if you don't have this 3D button over here, simply go to Window and hit 3D. Another way you can do this is simply by going to the 3D tab on top, choose Repoussé, and then text layer. It's going to basically tell you it's going to rasterize the layer, which of course you won't be able to change any of the text later, so just make sure that everything is correct and hit yes. One more important thing to know is that don't try to rasterize the layer yourself and then go to 3D because it's not gonna work. Okay, just let Repoussé rasterize it for you. Just play by its rules basically. Okay, so this is the Repoussé interface. I'm just gonna go real quick with you on all well, some of the options basically that you have over here because there's a lot. This is the scale. Let me actually change our view a little bit so you guys can see what we're doing. The scale is basically the ratio between the front of the layer to the back of the layer. 1 basically means 1 to 1, so it's all straight, but if I'm going to change it into 2, then you can see that the back is actually twice as large than the front, and vice versa. If I do a 0.5, so it's basically more or less half the size of the front. I'm going to keep this one on 1. Depth is of course the length of the extrusion. If I'm doing 4, so it's going actually back further. Angles, okay, you can actually change the angle of the back layer again a little bit. If I'll do 60 over here, okay, you see that the end comes up 60 degrees up. Okay, if I'll do minus 60, it will actually go down. You can't really see it right now, but it's going down. If it's bent, then you can actually see the angle over here that it goes up on a curve, and if I'll do it as a shear, then it's actually going in a straight line up. Okay, but I'm gonna actually not use any of those features right now. Let's leave the depth on let's do it 1.5. Okay, of course you can add also bevel to the front, to the back, or both of them. Don't go crazy with the numbers over here, otherwise it's gonna look a little bit weird. I'm gonna choose something like this, just for our example. Yep, that looks nice. Make sure over here on the interface that basically all of those options are checked. Okay, these are basically all the options that you have to play with. Ground plane is basically the floor for this whole thing. The 3D lights, if you can see over here, it's these right over here. We're gonna play with them later. Just make sure everything is checked so you can basically see what's going on. Mesh quality, always set it to best. Okay, I think that's about it. There's a lot of options over here. You can go through everything. You can choose materials, basically the textures of everything. Really a lot of options. Okay, but we're not gonna get into all of that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and do all the rest of the layers. I'm gonna convert everything to 3D. I'll see you when I'm done. Alright, so now as you can see, we basically converted all of the text into 3D, and the only thing we have to do now is basically set up everything the way we want it to be and apply all the shades. Now, in order for us to basically have all the layers cast a shade on one another, we're basically going to have to merge all of those layers together into one object. And the trick to do this correctly is not actually by selecting all of the layers and then merging them. The trick over here is actually selecting each layer and then merging it down by hitting Ctrl E on your keyboard. Okay, I'm gonna hit it again. As you can see, it adds each layer individually every time I hit Ctrl E. And there you go. Now we have in one layer, you can see all the details over here, all of our original layers that we had. So we're gonna go ahead right now and go back to the 3D scene basically, and we're gonna start to play with everything that we have over here. Okay, I'm gonna go to this tab over here. That's basically the mesh tab. Okay, that's basically all of the, if you like, all the layers that we had originally, but now we're gonna play with each one of them individually. Alright, so what I'm gonna do, I want to move this 3D a little bit. Just bear with me over here a little bit because there are a lot of options on these things, and it takes a little bit of time to set up everything the way I want it to be. So I'm gonna actually fast forward everything a little bit, but I'm gonna make sure that you actually can see what I'm doing. I'll see you when I'm done again. Now, since basically playing in 3D can get quite confusing at times, another great tool to use everything is this 3D axis over here. What it basically allows you to do is actually play with everything as far as like views and angles. You can pan in and out, you can move objects around. It just depends on the settings over here, which camera did you choose. Okay, I'm all done. I'll admit, it took me some time. It is a little bit confusing, but play around with everything and you'll get the hang of it. Practice makes perfect, as you know. But this is pretty much how I want everything to be set up. The next thing we're gonna do is basically apply the lights, which obviously are gonna apply the shadows as well. And the way you do it is, again, you're going to the same 3D menu, which disappeared on me right now. There you go, and you're choosing this tab over here. Okay, this tab is for the lights. Now, each light is basically represented by this, oh my bad. Oh yeah, one more important thing to remember: when you play around with the light, choose this tab over here as well. Okay, light rotate tool. So I'm gonna choose this, and now I can actually play with the light and not with the actual layer, and it will actually play with the shadows on the actual layers, on the actual words. Since I want the shadow to drop from one word to another, I'm gonna put it a little bit shallow. I'm gonna change to the other infinite light, and I'm gonna bring this one maybe somewhere like, no, let's go the other way, maybe something like that. And the third light, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna cancel the third light. I'm not sure I need it over here, but what I will do, I will add actually another light, and I'm gonna choose a new spotlight over here, which is basically just a spot of light that can hang anywhere in the scene, and you can play around with it with the angles and everything. Let me see how long it's gonna take me to master this one. Okay, that's just about right again. But now that we have all of our lights situated more or less the way we wanted it, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go right over here and we're gonna check this one, ground plane shadow catcher, which basically means all of the shadows that are basically casted from all of the lights we put are gonna be shown on the floor over here on this area. Okay, what's gonna tell you right now that the shadows are basically gonna be visible only once you start rendering, and this is actually exactly what we're gonna do next. We're gonna go right over here, okay, to the filter by whole scene. Make sure that you are standing right over here on the scene on top, and on quality choose over here ray traced final. Basically what it's gonna do, it's gonna start rendering the entire scene, including all the shadows that it's casting from one layer to another. It's gonna actually also sharpen the entire thing and make sure all the shadows are nicely corresponding with each other or with other basically text layers. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and choose right now ray traced final. Original image size was 1920 by 1080, so that will actually take a little bit of time. I will let you know how long it took me in the end, but I will fast forward through everything and I hope everything will look okay. Okay, so rendering is now done, and as you can see I did make some changes once we started. I did move the tutorial a little bit closer. I just wanted you guys to see how again one layer can cast a shade on other layers, just like you can see over here on the bottom of the CS5, right over here, and on the extended it goes across. That's basically the shade from the 3D layer, but altogether it looks pretty sharp. The actual time that you saw during the fast forwarding, the actual time everything took was about 2 hours. I am running on 4 cores Intel 8 threads with 8 GB of memory. I did have, of course, Camtasia in the background so I can capture all of this, but it does take some time. Again, I was working on high resolution. This image basically is 1920 by 1080, so it will take some time, but let me know in the comments down below if you do anything like that, how long it took you, so I'll know more or less where my system is standing. Besides that, as you can see, I did have a little bit of lag in the capture. I apologize for that, but the only thing I really did was I right click the 3D images once everything was done, and I hit rasterize 3D, and then I chose this dune grass brush over here, and I just painted a little bit in between just to have it look a little bit more grounded, if you like. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please like and comment, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye bye.